us, the map creators, for all the work they've been putting in. And shout out to PuppyPaw for being willing to teach VortiX how to use each of these civs, because once again, he has picked the civ his opponent did in the last game. As we just witnessed VortiX's French, now PuppyPaw wants to give him another masterclass on what I would say was originally one of VortiX's signature civs.
So you're telling me that if VortiX wins here and we go to game number 5, PuppyPaw is going to pick Abbasids?
I wouldn't put it past him. He does like the Abbasids a lot. I expected it here. I actually thought the Abbasids was coming out from here, but this makes a lot of sense. I think PuppyPaw and Wham are two of the only players I've seen practicing French in a way that makes sense for this map. The problem with a lot of people when this map first came out is they thought that you're meant to play the corners and build hulks. That's way too expensive. What they do really well is land aggression. And what we've been learning very quickly after the last weekend and now so far in this one is 4 Lakes isn't all about that water.
Exactly. In fact, it's more about the balance between land and water, and this is one of the reasons why I was so high on this map when this came out as one of the custom maps. This is probably the single most difficult map to balance your water and land spendings on. It's really a delicate balance. You underinvest into water, your eco is going to be much weaker than the opponent. You overinvest into it, you will get overrun on land. So finding that perfect balance is very difficult, and it is the key to winning this map.
And the cool thing as well with hulks in this situation is, like, I think there is a place for it for the French, but it comes in the mid-late game. You don't rush it. The problem we've seen for certain French players is they rush to get it up, and they lose because of it, because it's a hefty investment. You're spending 540 resources on a unit at an early stage in the game compared to where most civs are spending maybe half of that, if not less. I do like the idea, though, of sneaking docks around 20 minutes if this starts to drag out, when VortiX has, say, 15 to 20 fishing boats in each of his lakes.
Indeed, when you look at the French in this map, you do have to consider that hulks are extremely expensive, but a big factor in feudal age naval combat. So it's all about PuppyPaw making sure that every hulk he makes is impactful. And that has numerous implications. For example, he wants to avoid making a hulk back at home if possible, so he needs to sort of prevent VortiX from sneaking a dock upon him. But simultaneously, he also wants to sneak a dock on VortiX's pond and take naval engagements there in feudal. And if you look at it from the other direction for VortiX, he needs to ensure that he forces a lot of hulks being made out of PuppyPaw, for example, by sneaking a dock on the pond of PuppyPaw.
And I'm glad that you highlighted it. That's something that I think is much clearer on 4 Lakes than is apparent on things like Dry Arabia. We talked earlier today about this concept of, if your opponent is aggressing, look for an aggressive trade. Try to dictate the flow, make them dance to your tune. I think 4 Lakes is a phenomenal map for that. If you can get that aggressive drop, yes, it's risky going that forward for docks early on, but if you get it off, the damage it can do can be irreparable to your opponent's economy. Something I did see in the early days, but hasn't continued on to defend against this, is actually going for walls. Walling around your lake to protect it has somewhat fallen by the wayside, and I think when you play in the French, it's actually a better defensive tool to utilize than having to even remotely think about dropping a hulk in your own lakes.
Exactly, like as compared to other civilizations, if you need to build a combat ship on your own pond, it's gonna be a much pricier investment than it is for other civilizations. So, especially with the French, you want to avoid doing that. So dropping a couple of preemptive walls to prevent a dock drop from the opponent is something that you can justify even more so than as compared to, let's say, other civilizations.
Whoopsie, that scout's done. Ooh. Oh, PuppyPaw,
Oh,
you greedy
yoink.
little doggy.
Yoink!
He couldn't resist it. I mean, I'm not really sure what he was trying to resist there. Like, that was kind of, that was like in one of those movies where someone becomes infatuated and tranced by an object, but that object actually kills you when you get it close. Like, it was the Indiana Jones movie, right? When you just go to pick up the Grail. Like, he was not worthy.
Yeah, he picked up the wrong one though, right?
Definitely. They're definitely in that situation. But it was too shiny, it was too tempting, he couldn't resist.
Yeah, I mean, the comparison is pretty cool. We're just missing Sean Connery from this game.
Yeah, and the correct lines. I should have went with the correct. What was it? You chose poorly.
Yeah, something like that.
Poorly in this game.
I think it was he chose poorly because well...
He chose poorly. Yeah,
I
because
mean,
they're already dead.
why would you tell that to the dead guy, right?
Some people talk to the dead. I mean, you know, like, after this, if VortiX loses, do we just pretend he doesn't exist because he's eliminated? No, because we'll have to talk to him because we might interview him further down the line. That's the beautiful thing about Wololo here. Although only 2 people qualified this month afterwards, there's still plenty more slots to go around. I feel like I'm just justifying now VortiX potentially losing, but I'm not. I would like to see something other than a sweep.
I think every one of us would love to see something other than a sweep. And it's a good start for VortiX so far. He did intercept the villager on the north from PuppyPaw, so he will deny a second dog being added. But guess what? PuppyPaw is moving to the south. He has scouted the dog from VortiX. VortiX, though, great scouting from him. This is really, really efficient scouting, spotting all villagers that are moving forward for extra dogs.
Yep, and the cool thing about being the French is you can afford 1 or 2 villages like this because you're usually ahead on land. But we have to remember it's not just about land anymore, especially now the VortiX has gone for both docks because it's so cheap to do so. Only 75 wood per dockland. PuppyPaw, now that he is teched up, look what he instantly does. He's going to ramp up the aggression on land with an archery range build, looking to turn the screws directly in the Abbasid base.
And VortiX has to be prepared for this one. The concern is that, as you see, the archer range is already coming up for PuppyPaw, so he is ready to respond to Spearman, and VortiX is still far away from Fuel Age, so a barracks by itself is gonna be insufficient because you don't have any tools to deal with archers right now.
Yeah, this is a problem. Like this is kind of the baity issue, like in these matchups, and I think this is why Abbasid players can usually get struck out the game before it really begins. Is like their opening is quite predictable. You know, if they, especially when they're playing on water like this, they delay their tech up. And the difference between you and another Civ is if another Civ sees they need an emergency tech up, they need to react to something, they can rush it. You can't as the Abbasids. It's 1 minute 45 seconds always.
Speaking of rushing though, with multiple villagers being pulled, you could think about the dock being dropped on that southern pond, but in the long run, you could even think these villagers moving towards the base of VortiX and potentially working towards a tower's aggression, because that might be a legitimate thing that you consider once you complete the dock to the south.
I've got a creeping smile on my face at the thought of that, and I'm so sorry. It's just, there's only one player I've seen try to outpost rush with the French, and that was actually about 2 or 3 months ago in a Beastie Marine Lord game of all things. So it would be nice to see, but instead he says it's nicer to see Hulk. It's an expensive investment, but one that he thinks is going to be worthwhile. Problem with this though, Lidakor, is he's targeting the less fat lake. There's only 5 ships here. VortiX did start building the northern dock first.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a concern. Like, if you do the math, like, first of all, villagers will get picked off over here. Dock might get completed, but the villager is gonna fall.
Yeah, no, one's going to survive. The knight came in clutch. Remember, they weren't bracing, and he had the attack damage bonus after getting the charge off. Easy cleanup on naked Dark Age spears.
Yeah, these don't have the Fuel Age upgrade just yet, and as you said, they did not brace. A second Spearman also gets picked off here by the Knights. It's a good trade, and it's also a good trade to hit the gold miners, because one thing that those Spearmen had abandoned, essentially, by going for the dock, was the initial gold mine and the base of VortiX. And this is something that PuppyPaw is going to exploit so well. And now, VortiX is down to 1 Spearman. Those Knights can now dive.
Let me tell you how to play French on 4 legs, Lidakor. I know my analysts usually tell me things, but I can really TLDR this for you. You see all those lakes in the corner? Just take a little sticky notes and cover them up. Pretend they don't exist. Just play a land map as the French, because that's what PuppyPaw was doing here. Sure, he's getting a little bit of fishies back at home, but everything else, this might as well be Dry Arabia.
And it's looking grim for VortiX. He invested into a Dow on the southern pond, but that's not going to win the battle. And this is what makes this favorable for PuppyPaw. If it was for the dock and 5 fishing ships, you can question whether this investment is worth it for PuppyPaw. Now that you destroy 1 Dow, potentially 2 of those, this trade is definitely favorable when it comes to overall resources spent and lost.
And now it's time for Dancing on Lakes with the Hawks. Round of applause. Dun 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 dun. It's so dumb. It's still just the standardized combat. And this Hulk, the healing coming out from the fishing boats. The problem is that once you draw fire there, boats might die too fast. PuppyPaw is being pushed back a little bit, but keep in mind he's always got that heal to offset the damage coming in, and a heavy dent now in the fishing fleet and the military force. VortiX at risk of losing complete control of the southern dock line.
And there is that tower creep coming up. It's not even gonna be a creep, it's gonna be a tower in the face of VortiX. He's also going to lose the dock, and with that, his passing healing ability. This is looking grim. I know I said this before, but VortiX...
It's more than grim. Look where he's going for the gold now. VortiX is going out next to the Stealth Forest. Like, he's far out from his base in Danger Town now. It's the only gold he has.
He's got some horsemen out there, though. Like, those horsemen could come in clutch, and horsemen spearmen, we have seen that.
Wait,
it's capable of beating archers and knights, and the base
is he
of
ram rush right now?
Yeah, it's actually
wide
wide
open.
open.
Be Rams.
He doesn't have the wood, though.
The wood right now. Yeah, he had 300. He was holding for a sec. Like, if it's not a ram rush, I'm not really sure what he's doing here. Like, Spears will not do anything alone with the Horseman. You can't dive. The TC will pepper you down. And the Archer battalion's already being built by PuppyPaw.
PuppyPaw, though, completely unaware of the sneaky forces here of VortiX. The Knights, with limited line of sight, did not spot this. And surprise! Here come the Horsemen.
Here come the horse. Yep, here they come. We're just going to run inside. Oh, Timothy didn't make it. But everyone else is fine. This is fine. Knights coming out now. A few more villagers trying to retreat back. They probably didn't even need to come in. I don't think VortiX even saw him down the scout.
Is this
Nice
fine?
stab down there.
KP, is that fine?
It might be, because look what the Knights are about to do in return. Like, keep in mind, the Eco is pretty exposed at home for VortiX. He's out on the deer to the north side, and if the Knights notice this and wrap in, it can still be an upside for PuppyPaw. But instead, he looks to block out the food by going after the dog.
Oh man, this is really good trade over here for VortiX. He's up by 7 eco as well, and the ton of idle time also forced on PuppyPaw. As you said, a lot of villagers out there exposed from VortiX, but that's not something that PuppyPaw has scouted, and PuppyPaw doesn't even have vision anymore because he has lost his scouts. Now Spearman also getting some nice freebies on those knights close to the dock. This is getting better and better for VortiX here, and look at the army numbers, 26 to 16.
I'm very surprised by this. I don't know if you're surprised as well, Lidakor. Like, going off that dock, it almost feels like tunnel visioning coming out from PuppyPaw. Like, there's a land eco you could be exploiting. This is what I loved about the Knight play out of PuppyPaw. It wasn't about striking docks, it was about striking villages. They're a lot easier to kill, surprisingly enough, for Knights. But instead, he wastes so much time on the dock, when if he just rode north, not only does he know there's a wood line there, but any further and he would have spotted the gold line that is now keeping VortiX alive.
Yeah, he probably didn't think that the Abbasid player has that much in pocket ecos. You get the feel that he was just thinking that there's a higher probability of doing eco damage by destroying the dock and thereby idling all the fishing ships than just moving out, probing random pocket ecos for a, you know, just a chance to essentially intercept a couple of villagers. But now the army numbers, they're looking really good for VortiX, and PuppyPaw is in trouble here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, when you say, actually, when I think about it, when you say the Bassids and pocket ecos, the only time I'd expect that is if I needed to ask for a blood alcohol test to go out. Like, because you're right, they never bloody do it. Like, this is the first time in a long time I've seen an Abbasid player rush out of his base desperate the way he does. But VortiX, to his credit, does it to stay alive and now finds himself 9 eco units ahead of PuppyPaw. He has to keep the pressure up, though, because the French do recover well, and the French are in a situation where they can easily have control of 3 of these lakes due to the power of the Hulks.
Indeed, and that is an eco that you cannot raid. We can mention that you got the army numbers advantage on the land for VortiX, but that's not something that you can use to hit the fishing eco. All you can do is do land-based pressure. And if PuppyPaw can buffer up such an aggression and build his eco on the fishing eco, it's a completely different story for VortiX.
And he spotted him there. He knows what he's playing for. So PuppyPaw has identified that VortiX is recalibrating. The cool thing actually right now is if PuppyPaw goes north or east with those Knights, he's going to find something of value because VortiX is building onto the northern lake and he's still on that gold on the east side. Now the stone as well. And PuppyPaw is wrapping in. He's going to catch him in the middle of trying to go for the transition into TCs.
Oh, he doesn't know. He finally spots it.
He sees it. No way.
He saw it, but did he see it? Oh, he's going greedy. He's going for the berries.
This is very risky. 3 outposts already being built up. And he doesn't even insta-click because he's being raided in his base. He's outnumbered here. VortiX once again diving the primary TC and PuppyPaw not finding decent exchanges in return.
Yeah, right now this is looking pretty decent for VortiX. His raids are doing substantially more damage. And as you said, the 3 towers, keeping all the villagers out there alive. This being said, army is getting depleted by the town center and tower fire.
Not just that, Lidakor. Look at the eco count now. VortiX brought more villagers out. He had too many people on that berry line, so he did lose a few in the end, despite the outpost going up, because he got caught building some of them as well. And after that, like, keep in mind these raids are still coming around the backside. He hasn't revealed the gold line to the right side and the stone as well. VortiX should be counting his lucky stripes right now. He didn't get spotted on that stone, because if he did, that's a free exchange for PuppyPaw, leading back into the berries afterwards anyway. And at that stage, he will be ahead on the eco count.
For now, VortiX maintains his eco lead here, thanks to the fact that he also killed quite a lot of villagers on PuppyPaw's gold. Speaking of which, if we take a look at these gold mine spawns, all gold that PuppyPaw has is to the north, right now being denied by VortiX. So, PuppyPaw simply has no chance to add any more knights in here, and that's going to slow down his military build-up, could buy a lot of precious time here for VortiX.
Knights or Hulks, right? That's another thing he can't now play for. He can't try to deny additional lakes away. And remember that VortiX is recovering his economy and water by going into the northern corner. And as a result, you say he didn't get gold. PuppyPaw plays risky, running all the way to the south side for good reason. VortiX has only shown aggression in his base and on the northern area of the map so far. Unlikely that he ever scouts this out.
He has one scout alive, but of course... Oh, there we go. Castle Age coming in. Oh, this is getting worse and worse for PuppyPaw. He might even have the food for Castle, but gold is a concern.
That's why he's getting the gold in the corner, but it looks like he's reinvesting instead, stacking up more knights, and this could expose a weakness in VortiX. Like, if the archer numbers are good, VortiX's army will struggle to hold back the knights, and you have to keep in mind, like, this is still a good recovery from VortiX, but his base is spread out left, right, and center up the wazoo. Extension TC, gold to the north, playing berries on the west side. I think he's even building maybe another town center over there. In fact, yeah, I think this is a double TC boom up after the initial one.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a lot of eco that VortiX can add over here. Will be spotted by PuppyPaw, so now he's aware. And as you said, it's gonna come down to those archer numbers where they can deal with the spearman, because PuppyPaw will likely need to make a timing push here. He won't catch up in Castle Age timing. In fact, at this point, he might be better off just reinvesting those resources and going for a full push when VortiX reaches Castle Age.
But right now, he's been caroused like sheep. And VortiX will let loose those dogs of war, blocks him off, allows time for the spin and the gap close, and PuppyPaw, oh, he can't get out!
Beautiful surround!
Right.
That is a disaster!
They're gone! What a move out of VortiX! The power of Horseman compels him, and the damage too much. Now look how baby level PuppyPaw's military force is. Only 5 knights.
I spoke about the timing push, but you don't have anything to push with. We're looking into a scenario of even economies right now between the two, but as you said, more town centers for VortiX, but what's more concerning for PuppyPaw is that the army for VortiX is gonna be a lot more convincing very soon. Spearman also with the Phalanx upgrade as well. Now they can get boot camp because we're seeing military wing. All of these things will make life very difficult for PuppyPaw in the next coming minutes.
This is where PuppyPaw, like, he's got a do-or-die choice in the next 2 to 3 minutes. I don't think you can fall back for a tech up. That's not going to do it. You need to build a big army and go. The problem is you taking these bad trades has put you on the back foot. You can see he's now stacking up a lot of archers, and this is where it gets annoying because the way the French want to play is they want to peel their knights off and go for flank attacks. But you can't. You've got too many archers invested now. If you leave them alone, they get wiped.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very micro-heavy engagement over here. You can't detach your knights, because the moment you do, your archers will get massacred by the horsemen. Looks like it's gonna be a flanking attack here by PuppyPaw through the stealth forest. Oh, here they come.
Berry line again. Snipe a few villages maybe, but not the maximum impact you're looking for. Has to back away. Triple outpost, too hard to dive, and that's not going to cut on its own. PuppyPaw is starting to accrue resources, though, and has stopped producing army. So it looks like he doesn't think this is over yet. He thinks that if he catches up in a castle, that's enough to recover his game.
Looks like the knights will get detached eventually here. They might even spot the dock to the north, but it is of little value. If you take a look at that dock, I think there is just one fishing ship gathering there. So
there is.
Yeah, the price is minimal. In fact, the only thing that this is useful for is VortiX learning how many knights PuppyPaw has on the battlefield. Now actually moving away! Oh,
no, he notices, he turns around just in time. I think that's an all aggro though, so VortiX hasn't attacked the villages yet, but he will attack another bunch of villages. Horsemen now raiding in, vetted up, lots
they will
in the
spot
mix
the
as well.
guild hole.
Tech up interrupted!
This is the perfect timing for VortiX!
They're trying to get back. The archers, they're returning to base. Spearman as well. They need to get this tech up. He needs to recover. He thinks if he plays with the lake, they're still away. But first of all, he needs to get these damn horses out of his base.
Looks like some spearmen will be able to repel them for the time being, but now VortiX knows what's up. He knows where the knights are at. He sends the spearmen in there. Massacre on the north. Look at that. 2 knights going down. Many others heavily damaged. VortiX knows exactly what's up. He knows the numbers that PuppyPaw has. He knows he's just now going up to Castle Age, and he's gonna be well prepared for what is to come from PuppyPaw.
VortiX, so far, the interesting part is like he hasn't even really revealed his full Lancer hand yet. You see there was 2 or 3 in that mixer. He's up to 10 now. Compare that to the measly 6 that PuppyPaw has, and I wouldn't really call it a true 6 when half of them are coughing and spewing blood up every time. Like, I think 3 of them are about 20 health right now for the French. That is an ugly and limp-looking army.
And they have no idea what they're up against. They are unaware of the keep in the middle. And the PuppyPaw could be up here for a nasty, nasty surprise. As you said, his knights are heavily damaged. It's going to take a lot of time to heal back up. And look at the other side. We are talking about more Lancers for the Abbasid player over here than we do for the French.
You can see PuppyPaw is trying to catch up fast though with the tech up. He wants to wait for the elite stats to come through and everything. And you know, to his credit, he has got the gold to do this indefinitely, and the food is protected on the west side, so he's not going to drain a resources soon, but he might be drained of troops if he's not careful. Archers playing around the choke points, and I like that. That's well advised by VortiX. These buildings, they create funnel points. Melee do not perform well in these environments, so he's going to take his time.
Ooh, villagers could get intercepted here, though. Looks like they were spotted
Pigeon.
in time, and I think there is a keep
VortiX.
there to run to.
Did he spot it in time, though? He hasn't reacted to it yet. He's just
Couple
running the
villagers
same
will fall.
direction. Several going down. No textiles by the looks of it. So heavy hit there, but looks like he mitigates most of it. But this is going to reveal what he's doing. This is the more important detail. PuppyPaw now knows about the keep, but can he react quick enough?
20 past villagers being pulled there to the keep. I just don't think he has the capacity to stop it with. He saw the Lancers. Most of his army is just archers. He can't stop this one. But this is going to set up VortiX with a really good offensive position over here, and one has to wonder how PuppyPaw will be able to afford an engagement. As you said, he can't detach the cavalry to just raid, because he needs every single unit that he has out here on the battlefield.
And the way he's trying to now pad against that is by just bulking spears. But if you're bulking spears and VortiX is bulking spears, I've got bad news for you. Phalanx, baby. Makes for better trades for the Abbasids. The Abbasids are willing to trade their lives for the cause now. Mangonel in the field. Spears, sidestep it just in time. And won't be targeting his archers, which is the better news for PuppyPaw, because that is where you get the 50% increased damage. Second shot coming up. What? I'm sorry, can we just check the name of that Mangonel? Because I want to see if it's got like a Stormtrooper tag on it. It doesn't seem to be capable of ever hitting a target.
But it's not even shooting lasers, so that's probably the issue, right? You would only get the Stormtrooper tag if you're firing lasers.
That's true. Stormtroopers are still worse. They somehow miss with lasers. These guys at least have the excuse of, it's giant rocks, gravity, physics, the world isn't flat. Yeah, right, pull the other one.
Landmarks all on one screen here for PuppyPaw, and he has to be careful with this because there is already a trebuchet shelling this, and there is so much time that you have here. So PuppyPaw for now, he's trying to buy time to build up his numbers, but VortiX, he's also building up his own, and at one point, you're gonna have to start committing to repairs, and if I look at the wood bank for PuppyPaw, that's not something I would call promising by any means.
Those villagers don't look like they're working to get wood for the Empire. They look like they're looking for a way out of this base right now. And now the raids come in. TC down to half HP. He's going for the landmark snipes here. He's going to try to force the fight before PuppyPaw is maybe ready. These choke points that worked for him can now work against him with a triple bagger now. Forces the fight as he rides in. Knights have to be careful. Spearmen turn upon them. Archers are trading out right now. A lot of the spearmen are going down. VortiX needs to be very careful about the way he micros this, because if the spears fall, the Knights will commit and they will win outright against Lancers.
Mangonels, though, setting up, and as you said, the choke points. That is something that hurts PuppyPaw so much right now. One bad Mangonel shot and you could be out of this game here. Town center now on fire. Villagers will be popped out very soon. And you soon have to start thinking about taking this fight if you're PuppyPaw, because one of your landmarks will be gone, the other one will be under fire in a blink of an eye.
Look at the damage that's been done to most of this front line. PuppyPaw now has the military lead in the pop cap for the moment. But here comes the rush through. Villagers, they come out. The perfect move, VortiX with the body block. But the Mangoes haven't shot yet. Idle eco.
Here they go!
They're dead. And now he has to rush. PuppyPaw, he can't hold back any longer. That's too big of an eco hit. And that's too big of a hit in the military count. Archer's trying to hold on for the moment, but the Mangoes haven't even begun to fixate upon them.
The front line is gone.
And
the front line is gone. Knights now unleashed on the archers, and there's nothing that stops the Lancers right now. Nothing that stops the Mangonels, excluding one Springald out there. Springald getting taken down. Mangonels ready to unleash hell on the archers.
That hit me right in the archer. That hits too hard. The Mango's just pushing him back, corrals him to the edge of the map. There's only so much stutter stepping left in this map before you're right up against the wall, and it looks like he can not even get good trades out. PuppyPaw yet to call the GG, but question marks to be asked about where the point of recovery is once this archer battalion is gone.
And it is gonna be gone. There is nowhere left to go. They are leaving the base, and behind this one, the landmarks are being torched down. At this point, this army is doing nothing. The guild hall is down to half an HP, and the School of Cavalry is likely going to set ablaze in a blink of an eye as well. Splingold's once again getting taken down. PuppyPaw still at 31 army, but that army can't accomplish anything. And you gotta wonder if there is any chance for recovery here for PuppyPaw, because in just a matter of seconds, he is going to lose his last landmark of the game.
Yeah, just one trebuchet, plenty of torches coming out. You gotta give credit to PuppyPaw, either delusion or just, you know, ability to stay in at the very end. He'll finally call GG. He realizes it is truly the end of the game. He will not get a quick way through to Wololo. VortiX, when it's needed, makes his stand. I just want to give credit over to VortiX, by the way, for the way he played that. Like that, playing pocket ecos the way he did is not easy, especially against a civ like the French. But to his credit, it kept him in this game. Like that play onto the gold vein to the north side of his base especially allowed this recovery.
Yeah, that recovery was just as good as myself muting my microphone in the end, but indeed, it is what it is. Indeed, VortiX had some good moments in the previous games. But, as you said, he played his best when he needed it the most, and this was the first game where no crucial mistakes were made. No opportunity for PuppyPaw to just massacre 30 villagers in there. A couple of villagers were lost here from VortiX's end, but he always was able to recover nicely, and ultimately just ground down PuppyPaw. This was the cleanest game so far from VortiX, and this is the type of playstyle, this is the level of gameplay that we need to see from VortiX if he wants to reverse sweep this one